Hey there again, this is the game Overthinker with another big E3 reaction coming at you. The big Xbox event just wrapped up, and that was certainly something. We saw hardware, we saw software, we saw the future, we saw the past, we saw a game company take the stage and boldly tell us, please tell us what you want us to be.
Look, it's always been tough going for Xbox when it came to establishing an identity in gaming, because when Microsoft first joined the party, they didn't really need to. They were the console that wasn't Japanese and was thus married more directly to the legacy of PC shooters, sims, and sports gaming in the West than Sony or Nintendo's consoles and arcade legacy. But in 2019, that identity is just kind of gaming now as far as the big money markets are concerned. So what exactly is the Xbox brand other than PlayStation but chunky and green instead of svelte and blue, and Phil Spencer instead of movie stars roped in from our still sort of existent film studio?
This moment isn't just about finding some new games, it's about discovering your new games.
This is relevant to my purchasing sensibilities.
What even is the Xbox now? Judging by their E3 2019 presentation, Microsoft's answer is, you tell us, as in, no really, please tell us what we should be focusing on, because this industry is in upheaval and we have no idea where we're supposed to land next. Where prior years' unveilings have held to a sense of narrative coherency vis-a-vis how and when each new title and or piece of news was unveiled in kind of a natural organic flow of titles, 2019's show hit audiences with a deluge of reveal trailers with little to no connective tissue between each one. Twee indie mood pieces followed blunt force shooters, zombie survival sequels tumbled out after long-awaited retro revivals, and the only thing resembling a planned arc was that they definitely meant to end with a tech-heavy spec tease of the next Xbox codenamed Project Scarlet and a new Halo, which definitely looked like a new Halo.
We need to run! No, we need to fight.
What were you expecting exactly?
There was so little sense of theme going on that they managed to drop two absolutely huge international global phenomenons come to the States reveal trailers with almost no explanation as to what they were, who they were for, or why it should matter to anyone who didn't already know. Phantasy Star Online 2 at least got some cursory, hey, remember Sega action? But Crossfire X, the US debut of a 12 years running free-to-play military FPS, it's the most massively popular game of its genre ever across Asia, 80 countries already playing, 650 million registered accounts. This game was the reason Activision made Call of Duty Online in the first place to compete, got a cinematic trailer that didn't even tell you what genre of game it was or why you might want to find out besides, hey, more guns. In fact, if there was a subtitle for this entire presentation, it may well have been Xbox, trust us, somewhere, someone is excited about this. You had a Blair Witch trailer right the hell up front, which is great placement for a franchise with one briefly trendy movie from 20 years ago whose follow-ups everyone hated, that's been a punchline ever since, and whose reboot nobody really cared about. And then the trailer for Outer Worlds opening with the most cliche-packed, portentous game narration that didn't turn out to be a parody perhaps ever recorded.
Proudly owned and operated by corporations. Everything we have, everything we are, we owe to them. No one has ever gone against them. A stranger has just arrived. Someone who's challenging the corporate board.
No! We'll never defeat the corporation! They've won!
Also establishing the other thing that was as close as we were going to get to a running theme, trailers showing very little gameplay, but also not much in the way of establishing who these hypothetically engaging enough on their own characters and worlds are via cutscene. Like somewhere we took a hard right turn and your biggest source for short-form, non-linear, abstract, cinematic, mood piece short subjects is now E3, apparently. I mean, you gotta love the disconnect for how the Gears of War games are increasingly marketed to a caricature of the gaming press. Check out our cool, non-traditional female protagonist coping with trauma character arcs, moody art house trailers, and coffeehouse needle drop soundtracks, but the games are still, you know, just Gears of War. Then again, I did dig the hell out of this Cyberpunk 2077 aesthetic, where it's the future, but only if certain technology had accelerated really, really fast circa 1986, but fashion and decorating sensibilities had not done so at all. I mean, I get it, I love Blade Runner as well, but it's kind of funny how the now anachronistic Cyberpunk 80s future aesthetic was meant to imagine a crappy version of basically right now, but I'd 100% take this world over our actually crappy right now. Like, that guy's got a golden robot arm, all we've got is Elon Musk in his stupid tunnel. Anyway, it turns out they could afford video game Keanu Reeves for this one, and the actual Keanu Reeves for the show. How about that? John Wick himself comes out to work the crowd and tease a way the hell next year release date with the same energy of a youth pastor doing an awkwardly pop culture-laden anti-drug lecture.
Cyberpunk is set in a metropolis of the future, where body modification has become an obsession. You play as an outlaw, an enhanced mercenary working in the sleazy underbelly of the city. Yeah. Okay, but let me tell you.
But hey, we all still love Earth's greatest humans, so he gets a pass on this one. It's okay, Keanu, E3 makes everyone look ridiculous, and also I'm still looking forward to this game. Case in point, they kept building up the reveal for Game Pass Ultimate cloud gaming thing. Yeah, because that's something I'm confident Microsoft is going to get right on the first try.
I don't like the look of that.
With this self-important metaphor about scouring the world to bring you the best games.
This is why we scour the world for your next new games.
My team travels the globe, seeking out fan favorites and hidden gems, and crafts partnerships with their creators.
That really sounded like any minute we were going to cut to some B-roll of Phil Spencer skulking through some seedy bazaar in like Marrakesh, one hand on the holster of his pearl-handled revolver, sampling a taste of rare exotic indie content on the tip of his Bowie knife like, and you sure your master can get me more of this? Look, I gotta entertain myself somehow, folks. They showed us a controller commercial. Remember back when luxury car ads, but for things that are not luxury cars, was a joke?
Hey, they're doing that ball bearing thing.
Oh, hey, look, a Gearbox game. Trying to think of a joke that won't potentially turn out to be tragically prophetic at some point.
There are 6 sirens in the universe. I used to be one of them. My name is Lilith, and I need you.
Okay, so I know this series is tongue-in-cheek, but Lilith, sirens, and the number 7 all in one self-expository sentence is basically just dialogue by throwing darts blind at Bullfinch's mythology, right? The 23 horsemen of the Upanishads will be loosed by the first blow of Galadriel's ocarina, lest the alabaster toe ring of Count Solomon be flushed from the crystal talons of Pallas Chocobo. Oh, and speaking of which, George R.R. Martin and the Dark Souls people apparently did a game together, so yay, there's a whole new bunch of guys to blame for that book not coming out yet. But if it sounds like I'm being perhaps overly negative, there was one part I absolutely loved, that Forza Horizon trailer.
Geez, video games, you must think I'm one easy lay for exactly that kind of thing, and you'd be damn right.
Perfect. Masterful trolling, great payoff, actually looks fun to play, makes sense with the franchise, and unlike all the other stuff shown on these lines, like, hey, you can be the Terminator in Gears of War because that makes sense, or Minecraft, but we're just gonna reskin other games now because we like money, or Gears of War with Funko Pops, because wow, if that ain't the light mayonnaise on Wonder Bread of aggro-aesthetic mashups.
Hooray! Products!
Granted, it doesn't really say anything great that, psych, it's Lego, we put Lego in it, was the unironic highlight of a presentation for me, but you can't really put this on Microsoft or Team Xbox. They're a company looking for an industry center to be the reliable powerhouse consensus choice of, and nobody knows what that is because everyone knows either the cloud, nigh-inevitable economic downturn, or ecological calamity is going to completely flip the table in the near future and everything is going to change, but into what? If you were in that situation, you'd also probably be on stage looking sweaty and panicked going, what do you want? Whatever you want, we'll do it, just tell us. You want Battletoads? Here's Battletoads. Ask your dad, they were almost a thing once. Really, the ads in Nintendo Power had everyone very excited until they couldn't get past that part with the hover bikes.
Alright gang, this is not a drill. We have seen Jedi Fallen Order's first gameplay footage from E3 and the game Overthinker is here with my reactions. Is this it? Do we finally have another great Star Wars game? And if we do, will Star Wars fans nonetheless find something else to whine about anyway?
The new footage debuted for E3 gave us a much better look at new hero Cal Kestis, a Padawan survivor of Order 66 as he fights to survive and, you know, just kind of keep the universe jogging in place, I guess, until Luke grows up. Yeah, it is kind of weird how increasingly common it is in just Star Wars lore now that there were just tons of random Jedi Force users still ambling around between episodes 3 and 4 and they didn't really accomplish that much, I guess. Kind of weird to find out the Stormtroopers also had those anti-lightsaber weapons all the way back at this point already too.
Well, I guess that's just always what?
That raises some tactical questions, but then again, if anyone in the Empire was ever good at anything besides Darth Vader, the series wouldn't have multiple episodes. So yeah, we get to see some combat, lots of abilities get used, and check out the big production budget on us cameo action from Saw Gerrera, so yeah. Anyway, it looks okay, I guess. Pretty cool, nice environments, familiar Star Wars toys to play with.
Hooray! Products!
New music and designs all feel authentic without just feeling like assets we've seen before dropped in, mostly. Looks to be a lot of variety in the combat between the saber fighting, hand-to-hand force powers, some bullet time business that looks sharply cribbed from the takedown moves in the Arkham games and the last Spider-Man game. I'd have liked to see more of what your little droid partner can do, but that seems like it's going to provide a little bit of variety.
I like that because it's familiar to me.
I mean, let's get real about this. The basic demand from fans has basically been give us a next-gen single-player Jedi action game, and if what looks to be a semi-standard, mostly linear, clear the level, kill the bad guys game with Star Wars dressing, where you at least get to swing a lightsaber around. I mean, we haven't really had one of those since Force Unleashed 2, and haven't had a good one in longer than that, so a good-looking version of Swordplay Action Game 101 with Star Wars stuff in it, if that's really all anyone was requiring them to deliver here, and from this limited vantage point, it looks like that may have hit the mark, I guess that's what this is. Look, it can't be easy trying to thread the new and exciting versus recognizable brand, and Star Wars fans especially have proven especially harsh when it comes to change, so maybe being almost underwhelmingly exactly what you'd expect it to be is entirely the point of this.
Pretty.
So consider my mind decidedly not blown by any of this, but there's certainly nothing wrong with it, at least from a watching standpoint. We'll find out how the hands-on goes soon enough, I'm sure. But anyone waiting to see something like this take the license and go as different and exciting as KOTOR did back in the day is probably going to have to keep waiting. The franchise has a hole to dig itself out of on the game side to win back favor. That means playing a little bit safe, and safe means a generic-looking protagonist doing standard missions with pretty graphics. Are you new here? And hey, there's nothing that says you can't get a winner out of doing exactly what you expect in a game, if and when you deliver really good final product. Did they pull it off? Well, it's EA, so I guess we'll find out.
Well, that was a thing. Underwhelming, maybe, confusing, unclear, hard to disagree, and yet, what were we expecting other than to be told this was a thing that we were already told was going to exist, and it still is on track to exist? Man, it's amazing this business is still a business. Look, if you needed more proof beyond the only actually commercially and creatively successful modern films based on video games being adaptations of a franchise from the 90s and another from the 80s, that while the aesthetics of video games have never been more influential on the broader media, gaming narrative as an extension of the same has never mattered less, you need only consider that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been the biggest pop cultural force on the planet Earth for a solid decade now, and yet for most of that decade they've barely even bothered to attempt to have a meaningful gaming presence apart from letting their characters fight Capcom's back catalog every couple of years. But that was supposed to change now with Square Enix, Crystal Dynamics, and Marvel Games teaming up to do a big budget online co-op action game based on the Avengers, which was teased last year and now just showed off its first full trailer at Squeenix's big E3 showcase. And let me just say, trailer itself aside, you gotta give big propers to Square for knowing that their audience at the auditorium and around the world was going to be packed with impatient mainstream entertainment journalists who otherwise never covered games and wouldn't know Final Fantasy from Adam, obliged to watch only to report on this one Marvel-related item, because this is the only way any of us make money anymore, and they still went and stuck it at the very end of the program, forcing all of those poor confused souls to endure an hour of incomprehensible JRPG anime bullshit just to get there. Yeah, you want to tell people if Spider-Man is in this one or not, you're gonna watch 15 interchangeable ads about hyper-dramatic teenagers, sword fighting, and armored Rococo evening wear first. Respect.
If we had no crystals, miasma would consume us all.
I believe in the luminary.
You have to live.
You bastard!
Leonis, ruled by the Red Lion Monarch, possesses the power of visions, as well as twin princes.
Remember, you're the luminary. We believe in you.
But anyway, the Avengers trailer looks fine, I guess, for something they clearly aren't ready to show a lot of yet still, but had to show some of. You don't get much sense of a design aesthetic beyond kind of bland, giving the creators involved, and also they were never ever going to get the actor likeness rights from the Marvel movies. And they're obviously holding back a lot from the premise. What they are letting show is that your broad goal is to reassemble a decommissioned Avengers team in a Marvel universe where that whole project went a bit upside down because of a mission gone wrong, but not like Civil War or Avengers Disassembled from the comics, a completely different thing where that same business has happened. In this case, a mission has gone wrong and led to an accident that blew up part of San Francisco and supposedly killed off Captain America. I bet he comes back, though. The trailer itself, which claims to have been made with in-game captured footage, only showcased the likes of Captain America, Hulk, Iron Man, Thor, and Black Widow as significant characters to be controlled in the game, though it was stressed that a larger assortment of Marvel figures, good and bad, are coming. The only villain that really jumped out at me right away appeared to be a version of Taskmaster, for whatever that's worth, though weirdly the whole thing is narrated by an off-screen little girl who we never see NPC and whom never identifies herself. However, the presentations after the trailer showed a slightly longer scene where the dangerous explosion on A-Day. Is that where we're really going with A-Day? Because that seems sort of bad. Hey, when did the bad thing happen? It was called A-Day. Yes, it definitely was A-Day. What day was it? Was it a Tuesday? A Monday? It's very late, folks. We're doing this late at night. Anyway, it was caused by experiments with a Terrigen crystal, i.e. the element that activates the dormant powers in the Inhumans, so it's probably a safe bet that the narrator girl is all but certainly going to turn out to be Miss Marvel, aka Kamala Khan, who everyone has just assumed was going to be a huge part of Marvel's next big multimedia phase going forward, so maybe that's where this begins. Still, for now, that's just a theory. Don't bet money on it and get mad at me if it's wrong. Beyond that, yeah, not really much to react to other than they finally got around to making an Avengers game. It doesn't look like anything special right now, but they're not doing loot boxes, so that's nice, huh? Time was they'd have to tease some fan favorite character that had never been in a game before, some major things from the comics, but maybe it's a testament to how long we've gone without one of these that, hey, this exists, guys, Avengers, huh? But hey, you tuned in for a reaction, and this is mine. Marvel's The Avengers. This is a thing that exists, or will at some point.
But don't you worry. A hero descends. What? There are no heroes in this world? Oh, but there totally are.
Game Overthinker here, back with another E3 reaction. The annual Nintendo Direct presentation just ended, and man, if Nintendo didn't show up and just Nintendo all over the damn place.
And now my favorite and also least favorite part of every E3, the big Nintendo presentation, where I end up super excited about a ton of games and then immediately bummed out from wishing at least one of the other big companies would show even a third of this variety or commitment to the legacy of gaming, so it wouldn't seem as much like I'm unnecessarily devoted to the machinations of one corporate entity. I honestly don't feel like a Nintendo fanboy at this point any more than I feel like a fanboy for Oxygen or Protein. They're the only ones making the stuff I need to keep going.
Hooray! Products!
Look, if you need to understand how my mind works when it comes to video games, the Nintendo Direct won E3 for me, and it didn't even need to do it with a Nintendo game, it did it with a goddamn Konami game. A new Contra, local multiplayer, and it looks good, recognizably like Contra, and you can play as a panda, and you're even gonna give me a whole collection of the originals too? Well, goddamn, why does anyone else even bother coming to the show?
No words. Should have sent a poet.
I mean, how am I supposed to be just okay when their toss-off opening is Dragon Quest Hero Guy and Smash Brothers, followed by, oh, sorry, is the guy from the new one not quite enough because he's not as entrenched in the cultural history of the series? Well, here's a bunch of the others who are.
I like that because it's familiar to me.
I mean, yeah, it would have been nice for them to include the alternate female skins where applicable, but still, that's a heck of an opening. And then at the end, they gave the rest of you that bear thing from that one N64 game that I promised you is not as good as you remember it being, but the system had stopped getting a ton of releases by that point, so yeah, sure, I played it too, and I'm glad people are excited about that, I guess.
I like things that are recognizable to me.
Kind of an interesting choice that they put that much production effort into a trailer for Resident Evil when all they're really announcing is that 5 and 6 are getting ported to Switch, like, hey, great, now you can complete your collection with the kinda racist one and the really bad one. Yay! But, you know, hey, it's not my money.
Here we go.
Elsewhere in the show, Link's Awakening looks more adorable than ever, if that's possible, and the new Animal Crossing looks promising. How can I not be excited for a full-on No More Heroes 3, even if it's a little weird that it didn't accompany an announcement for him coming to Smash Brothers? I mean, they can't leave him out now, can they? Can they?
Was today the 4th of July? If not, is the Empire striking back or what?
Haha! References.
And holy shit, is that a fucking Dark Crystal video game? Whose kid did I pull out of a burning car to deserve this?
Whoa.
Was I disappointed at no new Mario outside Luigi's Mansion 3, no Metroid news of any kind, no Bayonetta 3, and only just another 2-brief trailer for Astral Chain? Sure, there are always going to be more of this stuff, but compared to the mixed bag at everyone else's show, I'd say it was quite the haul.
Hey everyone, Game Overthinker here on the last day of E3, and man, I am exhausted. Anyway, here's a top 5, because that's what you do at the end of one of these things.
We are making a new kind of action-adventure game. It's spooky.
Video game social media declaring undying love for anyone who can manage to show actual unforced enthusiasm in the dystopian arena of E3 presentation stage is nothing new, but this time the cycle paid out to someone long overdue for the credit. Ikumi Nakamura has been an underappreciated creative talent in Japanese gaming for years, a disciple of the legendary Shinji Mikami, whose own ascent has been unjustly derailed a few times before this, so seeing her become an instant sensation while debuting a game that also looks like an original winner in its own right was a real treat.
Thank you!
Am I one of those guys who says there's entirely too many anonymous interchangeable anime boys with swords in Smash Brothers? Yes, I am. Am I nonetheless psyched to play as Dragon Quest guys? You bet your ass I am. Does that make me a hypocrite? No, because everybody knows too many anime sword boys in Smash actually just mean I live outside the borders of Japan and therefore have never given a shit about anyone from Fire Emblem. Anyway, glad they're here. Now please add Gino, Mallow, Higgins, Ryu, Larry, and Bentley Bear. There's now a character in Luigi's Mansion 3 who's a clone of Luigi made of slime, and his name is Gooigi, and because it's a Mario game, everyone now has to say the word Gooigi and act like this is a completely rational and not at all completely insane series of design decisions, and if you can't love that, then why even video games? I don't know what this is, but I love it. It looks like an actual good 3D version of Contra. It's got great over-the-top character designs, including this panda.
Hungry Beast! HB is actually a cyborg. I love him so much.
I had no clue it was even coming out, so it's new to me, and man, do I hope it's as much fun as it looks. Plus, I'm informed by my associate, Mr. Agnello, that the director on this one was the lyricist for the theme song to Neo Contra, which was memorable.
And there you have it, my top 5 for E3 2019. Do you agree, disagree, just want to yell at me for not including Cyberpunk, Watch Dogs Brexit, or the bewildered-looking Hollywood actor of your choice? Please feel free to
suck my dick!